To the latest uprising in the Middle East, at least 20 feared dead in Yemen as the government fights to take back control of two towns in the south. President Obama has been calling for Yemen's leader to step down over the crackdowns. But my next guest says, be careful what you wish for. Here now is KT McFarland. KT, this is the Arab Spring. They just want to enjoy the same freedoms we here enjoy, right?
Oh, come on. Look, all of these countries, you've got to look at it from our point of view. What's important to us, what's important to America's strategic interests. Now, in Yemen, you know, they're not really lobbying and arguing for democracy. This is a tribal conflict. This is, as a CIA director once said to me, you know, the president of Yemen isn't a president as much as he's a juggler, and he's juggling the interests of 20-some tribes and trying to keep everybody happy. He's obviously not succeeding.
Can we lump these countries all together in terms of their aims, their goals, the United States' goals and aims? I mean, because you've got Syria, you've got Libya, obviously. Yeah. We still have a lot of political unrest in Egypt. It's not violent, but there's still a lot that's up in the air there. And obviously, we've got Yemen as well. I mean, do we have to look at each country separately?
Yes. And the one thing you can look at, though, Chris, is any kind of revolution, think of it as a three-act play. Act number one, topple the autocratic leader. Act number two, try to form a government, because often the people who were united in their interest of getting rid of the leader are not united in their ability to govern. And so act number three is, can they get it together? Can they figure out how to have a government or not? And then are they taken over by extremists? And so in every one of these countries, though, it's a slightly different dynamic. But what they all have are very large youth populations and young people who don't have jobs.
KT, what could possibly happen if and when some of the leaders of some of these nations are deposed, and then you have a little bit of a vacuum? Obviously, the concern then is who fills that vacuum.
Yeah, and Chris, and you're absolutely right. That is the problem. That our interest in the Middle East is what? It's stability. It's the free flow of oil throughout the Persian Gulf. It's the stability and survival of the state of Israel. But every one of these countries is going to go through, as they go through this leadership transition, you know, you might get chaos at the end of once the autocrat leaves. You also might get an Islamist state. You might get democracy, and that'd be terrific. But every one of these states, it's, you know, the dominoes are falling one way or another, and you hope they fall to you, but they could well fall away. And for example, in Egypt, there's going to be an election in September. Guess who's probably going to win? The Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamist party. That's not good for us. You
know, KT, we had the G8 meeting last week, and a lot of talk was about the billions of dollars that was promised to the Arab Spring. I guess there were conditions placed on that money if they continue to focus on democratic ideals. I mean, how realistic is that, and how can that money, is that money really a nice carrot?
We have to watch where that money goes, because on one hand, it is a good investment if what we can do is support democracy movements, pro-Western groups, so when they eventually go to the polls, they vote for governments that would be happy to do business with us. However, if that money is going to go towards Islamist groups that absolutely want to destroy Israel, they want to take over the world in some kind of a global caliphate, then why are we giving them money? So I think that, again, it may be a good idea, but boy, we've got to, you know, follow the money.
Put those tight conditions on. At KT McFarland, thank you for joining us on this Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day.
All right. Well, criminal indictment nearing.